How you guys doing, man? I know I haven't really been vlogging and stuff like that. Um, just been through kind of a lot lately, but I just want to come. I feel like this YouTube video kind of had to be done. Just kind of reflecting on just 2023. Because 2023 for me personally, a lot has happened, man. I mean, I had playing at Heartland, winning World Series and stuff like that, being part of that team, that culture over there. You know, different things in my life just kind of like not going as planned and not going according to what I had thought or what my dreams and ambitions was. It kind of takes a turn. And also just kind of like finding God at a more deeper sense of just finding who I am and what my purpose is. So and I'm gonna kind of just talk about that today and just, I guess to start at, being at Heartland. Heartland, Coach Raz was a good coach. Coach Albright, Coach Guinea, all those coaches, man, they were good. They were good coaches. After that situation, just being on that team, like I learned a lot. Just being down there, going through, those times because I wasn't like talking with a lot of the guys on the team. I didn't do a lot of stuff outside of baseball because I went through like a somewhat semi like depression type of stage down there, and it just wasn't like healthy for me outside of baseball. And it was a lot. It was hard. You know what I'm saying? It was hard. And I was kind of just felt like I was going through the motion of things. Just like we playing, going to practice, going to work out, except for like, I will say I did kind of go through the extremes of things down there, given I wasn't really like playing very much, stuff like that. I went through the extremes as far as, getting up at 4 in the morning and stuff like that to train and stuff to kind of just give myself a competitive edge to get, stronger mentally. And just in those type of situations, you can't never expect anything back. You can work as hard as you can. You can't expect for it to correlate. Okay, you'll play more, all this other, et cetera, et cetera. But my situation down at Heartland, it was stressful. I had depressing days and stuff like that. Days where I just was out of it. I was out of it, man. And I think like that was a good turning point in my life because I just never been in a situation like that. I never been in that situation where I was at my lowest point where I didn't really like to play baseball and stuff like that. And just going through that, it was hard. It was hard going through the 65 games. I think I got in like maybe 20, 25 or something. It was hard. It was definitely hard. And my situation down there, I was actually happy for it. I was happy the way that went about because I ultimately didn't think that I would build no type of mental toughness than to go through that situation. To always have a chip on the shoulder, stick up your ass, you got to go out there, you got to play. You know what I'm saying? With no hopes or expectations that you might play. You could try to control everything you can. And at that point, the only thing that's affecting what you're doing now is the uncontrollables. Like, I never had that situation. So, being down there, experiencing what I experienced, I feel like if that went any other type of way, I wouldn't experience that. I didn't experience having a mental toughness to not care what anybody thinks. I didn't have that experience to be able to just go out there and play and not worry about the wrong things or what the coach is going to think. Like, in that situation at Harlan definitely molded me into that type of player, into that type of person, and it was a hard route. It was hard, obviously expectations were not exceeded, because my expectations was going there, start every game, all that type of stuff, et cetera, and make an impact. But ultimately, that just wasn't the case, and that's okay. That's okay that didn't happen because I gained something out of that situation that I felt like I wouldn't have gained in no other place. I played with a lot of good guys on that team. I was going against different freshmen that were really, really good, really, really talented. And even sophomores, that went to like big schools and stuff like that. So it definitely was cutthroat. But at the same time, just being in that situation, like I never really experienced that. Even then, like you can hammer in and try to do whatever you can to control the things you can control, like getting up, working your ass off in the gym every single day, and then going to practice, or working out before a doubleheader in the morning, then going to practice. Not taking days, like stuff like that, and then it's no guarantee that you'll play. And that just built like calluses on my brain because I knew that whether I play or not, like I got up, I worked out, I already made myself 1% better that day, and it was hard. It was very hard, but like I said, just in that situation, I learned a lot. After the World Series, which that was honestly a cool experience, being there, that's something that I probably won't ever be a part of again, and that's something that not a lot of people could be a part of winning the JUCO World Series. So that was also something that was very awesome. But just, I had so much animosity, I had so much animosity of not playing, feeling like I deserve this, I deserve that. But the reality of it is, this game doesn't owe you anything, regardless how hard you work. It doesn't owe you anything, man. It really doesn't. And, being at the World Series, like, that was also a really low point, not being able to play, not being able to get the opportunities, wanting to be out there, stuff like that. But also understand that you still got to cheer your boys on, bro, because a lot of people, like, they really feel that. They may not everybody feel the same as you. I might feel differently to them, but they feel some type of way, so I'm going to be there for them boys regardless how I feel. You know what I'm saying? And after the World Series and stuff like that, I had anger. I was ready to go home. I was ready to get done with my meeting. And I was like, man, these coaches going to have to shock me for me to stay, man. I got my mind said, I'm not going to stay here. They're going to have to shock me, this, and that. I'm going to blow their mind if I end up not staying, man. God told me sometimes he going to take stuff out your life even if you try to force it in there. You know what I'm saying? He said, regardless of what you think or what you going to say, this was your learning season. This was your learning season to gain this. So regardless, I'm moving you on to the next process in your life. And to go in there in a meeting with the coaches and then to get completely blindsided by the, like, so-and-so, we don't think that this may be a good fit. Like, that shocked me. Like, that hit me on a different level. I mean, like, because after all of that stuff in the conversation, I'm not going to get in depth with that, but, everything just crossed my mind. Just the training hard, waking up at 4:30, all of that. And, like, that was one of the most hardest, most emotional moments in my life. Dealing with, like, what the coach had said and how I took it and how I perceived it. Like, it hurt, and it was hard for me to take that without showing any type of emotion and stuff. And I'm starting to get I started to get watery, all that type of stuff. And my voice ultimately became numb. Like, it became numb to, like, a point just, like, I just couldn't respond to their questions clear and concise. Like, it just wasn't, like, I was just so hurt in that moment. And you never really want to show emotion to any type of coaches and stuff like that. Because, like, sometimes it's like they get as it's a sign of being weak. But it was so much just behind that. And just, like, it was just so much of a build-up. And just, like, I never been in a situation where a coach, like, told me, like, this isn't a good fit for you. Because, I would take it as a different way, like, oh, dang, like, he's saying, like, I shouldn't be here. He may not want me here, and I had a good season. Like, I batted like 330, 4 bombs or whatever. Like I had a decent season, and it to hear that, man, it truly hurt, and you know, to walk out of there and then to see all those guys, who haven't done their meetings yet and they see me, man, and my eyes is watery and I'm just walking out, man, like it definitely was hard. It definitely was just like it hurt. You know what I'm saying? It just hurt. I felt like a little kind of like a little female just walking up out of there, man, out of the meeting, walking outside quick because I ain't want nobody to see my emotions. I ain't want nobody to see that I was hurt, and one of my boys that was roommates, he came out, tried to talk to me, and I was just like, man, like I can't do this. I'm about to go home, and like I live 2 hours away from there, and that drive felt like 10 hours. It was hard. It was very hard. It was probably the most sad I've been in baseball. Like I've had some pretty sad times in baseball, but that was by far like the most like eye-opening, just very low, point in where I was at, and because it was just like, dang, like man, I feel like I just got cut, and it was hard. It was hard. Then halfway back home, I told myself, I was like, it's okay. It's okay. It's good. This is gonna sting for a minute, but also, you about to go home. This is what you wanted. You wanted to be back home. You didn't like being down there, so you need to go home and get to work and prove them wrong and prove everybody wrong. I was like, man, like I want to get these bags this fall. So in the summertime, I didn't have a team. I didn't have a team to play for. That was kind of something that they was so-called supposed to figure out for me, but they didn't. And it is what it is. But I didn't really like play summer ball. So I was like, man, you can feel this shit today, but that next day, as soon as I got home, I was up at 4 in the morning, going to train, going to work, And I had my moments in them gyms, being at the gym or at the facility, because I had like a key or whatever, being at that facility and with like just going in there at 4 in the morning, only one in there, I didn't really turn the lights on, and like you feel a lot of stuff. And I remember just one day I was listening to music and I was just hitting and I was hitting and I was tired and I was hitting it harder, and everything that just happened at Heartland all crossed my mind. And I mean, like, I just like chugged my bat and just started yelling, like aggressive. Like I was like, it was a part of my life where I was just like in that damn cage at 4 in the morning, and it was like, bro, like it hurt, it hurt. It made me go harder, but it made me so much more anger. It brought so much animosity and anger in me. And at the time, I didn't realize like how that anger and animosity like wasn't needed, because I went to church, but like I never really experienced God hands-on hardcore until this time, until 2023 this year. And training real hard, going crazy and stuff like that. It was that's the only thing I had on my mind, was this fall, this is my time. I'm finna go ball out or whatever. And at the time, like as soon as I left the school or whatever, a lot of coaches contacted me after that. I had a bunch of different coaches contacting me, asking me why I leave. Y'all was the number one team in the nation. What happened? Y'all just won a World Series. You batted 333 on a team that won the World Series. Why did you leave? You were going to get your opportunity, but it's just the behind the scenes things down there that just wasn't the right situation for me. And basically, like I had a bunch of different other JUCOs that was interested. I had one coach from Jackson State. He had talked to me and wanted to get me on campus or at the school for that year, but I didn't do it at the time because I I told one of my coaches back home, I was like, hey, like if Harlan doesn't work out, I'm there, you know? And he kind of owed me to it a little bit. And, you know, so I said, all right, you know, it's back home. It's no big deal. You know, I just need somewhere to play. I'm going to get my ABs or whatever. And everything's going to be cool. Situation's better. I got my car. I'm at home and all that. Man, you got to be grateful for what you got. Because sometimes that the grass ain't greener on the other side. The grass really ain't greener on the other side, you know. And once I then committed to go play at St. Charles, basically everything was kind of cruise. One of my sister's friends had kind of convinced me, like, you never know who will help unless you open up and you go, like, open up and talk with other people. So there was this little Facebook page on Facebook that had ultimately, it was like for baseball players. It had a bunch of different coaches in it, bunch of different mentors or like different people within the baseball game. So I reached out, I put my stats, I put everything in there. And I had a bunch of like, obviously I had some coaches reach out, all that. But there was this one guy who had reached out named Kermit Gamble. And me and him got real close. We was talking. He wanted to help me. He seen my videos. He was like, dude, like, man, you run a 6'4", you do all that. Like, what happened down there, you know? And of course I told him the story and all that other stuff. And he had reached out to one of his other guys that was like, I guess a scout or something for USA Baseball. Showed him some of my swings in the cage, game film. He was like, man, this kid's good. He could be good. And that was kind of mind blowing for me because I never necessarily been in a situation like that where I was getting much positive reinforcement like that. So it was kind of shocking to me. I was like, man, this guy who's in the baseball world, USA baseball, all that type of stuff, like he thinks I could be pretty good. He showed it to some, I guess, his scouting people, and they liked it, you know. And at that point, I was like, wow, because I went from a coach at my old school telling me that I'm like a hard kid to sell to a guy that I never met really putting in the word for me, you know. And he also knew a kid who played at Bama, his dad who also had connects who reached out to different schools for me. And at that point, it was like, all right, like you could be good, you could do this, keep sending videos, keep doing this. So all of a sudden he went to Bowie State, and his coach back when he played has a son who was a recruiting coordinator at East Carolina University. So, you know, all I told him was like, man, like I want to see what doors I can have. Like I never really had those high Division I coaches. I never talked to any of them, but none of them ever knew who I was. And all I would want is, okay, I want them to know who I am. I want them to see I want to hear their input on what they think I am as a player. And he had reached out to him, and his old coach reached out to the son. And when Mr. Kern told me that the son had gotten back to him, it was a moment in my life that, like, I was like, wow. Like, because the coach, like, was like, hey, this kid, he can play, you know, he had a pretty good season at Harlan, all this other type of stuff. We love to see him and stuff like that. And they was going to come see me at the Puma Classic, which is like a big JUCO showcase. And so after all that, I was like, wow. Like, I was in shock. I was happy. I was like, bro, like, this is crazy. Because I never had those type of coaches, like, on me. I never had those type of coaches to give constructive criticism. And I've also been in a lot of situations where, like, I never was given a lot of positive reinforcement. And ultimately, I'm not somebody that necessarily flourishes off that, but everybody, you always gotta, you know, it's always good to say something positive. Give positive, constructive criticism to people, you know. Despite, even though you should always be hard, you know, always do better, it's always good to comment here and there, you know. So after that, me and him getting excited. We also had another coach from NC State, the recruiting coordinator, got back to him and was like, hey, you know, we like what we see, we're going to come watch him. So at that time, I was like, this is what I wanted. This is about to happen, bro. Like, these big schools. I never had these big schools after me, like, or I never had these big schools looking at me. They coming to check me out. They giving me an opportunity to play in front of them. Like, man, this is awesome. Well, my man Kern was supposed to come down there. He's supposed to come down to the Puma Classic and watch me play, but something came up. He couldn't make it. So we get down there, and as soon as we pull up, Heartland's, you know, in the cage. As we pull up, and I ain't gonna lie, like, emotions is kind of rising from that. It really is. Because at that point, it's like, wow, like, fuck. Like, I didn't think I would be running into these guys down here. I know they were down there, but, like, I didn't think I was going to be running into them like that, you know. And one of my boys, Gallion Coupe, bro, I love that dude to death. That's my brother, man. I seen him. I dabbed him up. It was good to see him again, bro, because he is somebody that ultimately, him, Brew, and Isaiah, man, they both, all three of them, made my situation at Heartland so much easier, so much better, man. They really did. So kudos to my brothers. I love them boys. But ultimately, like, you know, seeing them, it just, like, it already added enough pressure on me to play well, especially with them kind of playing, like, right next to us, and then there's a bunch of coaches down there. But, like, I ultimately just, like, I slowed down. I took a deep breath. I prayed and was like, hey, just lock in on what you need to be locking in. Have fun. So I went out there and I had fun. The first game, I want to say, I think I went 1 for 1. I went 1 for 1 with 2 walks and 2 stolen bases and line drive. It was a pretty good game to me. Second game, 1 for 2. And, like, I'm thinking, like, okay, I didn't do anything, like, crazy, but I was a lot more fundamentally sound those 2 games. Like, I played pretty good. You know, after that, it was a little minute, and, like, everything kind of took a turn because my uncle got back to me. He's like, yeah, he got back. He said, unfortunately, he didn't go down there, but he sent somebody down there to watch you. They saw you, had your hit, run the bases, but we just weren't looking for an outfielder, you know, in JUCO baseball. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know. Like I said, it happens. I think I was just happy for the opportunity to be seen by them type of coaches. You know, for me to actually be able to play in front of them coaches and they come and got me on their list to come watch me, like, I never had that, you know. And so that was obviously a cool experience. And after that, I didn't really have any traction. You know, I didn't have traction I thought, but also, like, I didn't play crazy, because in those type of showcases, you gotta do some stuff that stand out. Hit home runs, doubles, juice baseballs, hit a number on the mound. Like, it's a lot of things in perspective with it. So ultimately, you know, I didn't expect that much, like what I thought. I had a few different schools follow me on Twitter, you know, come watch me, from coaches from Queens, NKU and stuff like that, but, like, nothing crazy. And like, after that, I think that next week or a week after that, we figured out we was playing Heartland. So that's when it really, like, it was like, damn. Now it went from me being nervous playing right next to them to, okay, we about to play them, you know. And I'm pumped. Like, I'm excited. At first I'm nervous, obviously, because I got a lot of emotion towards that. You know, them was my old coaches and just everything that happened. Like, it was a lot of emotion with it. And when we got there, like, it was kind of, I was nervous as hell. I ain't gonna lie. But also I realized, like, you can't be nervous. You got to play, because at the times I played worse because, like, I was so much worried in my head. But I was like, I'm going to do me and I'm going to play me. I'm gonna play the game that Darian know how to play. I'm not going to worry about what these coaches think or what these coaches say. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be a fucking dog. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, that's what I did. And it already made it easier because I had my boys, some of my boys at St. Charles was behind me, like, bro, come on, we finna do this, bro. Like, you ain't got to be nervous. We got your back. We finna do this. We finna go out and we finna play. It was a good game, you know. It fortunately is, like, showcase time, so it wasn't really, like, a real game, kind of. But I think I went 1 for 2 or something like that. Something like that, went 1 for 2 or something. And, you know, I think that game, like, I really pulled it out being a dog because, I mean, they threw some guys. Like, especially when I went up and I faced like their number one guy or whatever, like tensions was rising. Walking up to the plate, about to play my team I just left, man, like tensions is rising. It's like, bro, if I strike out, bro, I'm not gonna end it. Like I can't do that. Nah. So like I'm up there like, you know, screw this motherfucker, bro. Like I'm finna smack his stuff. You know, I didn't know who he was. I knew that he was a good thrower. He threw hard. I was like, bro, but I said, bro, I don't give a fuck. You know, I don't give a fuck. I'm finna go out here. I'm finna smack this shit. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, like that kind of made the situation a lot easier. And like ultimately, I just felt like I couldn't be beat up there. I didn't like doing anything crazy, but you know, I went up there and did my thing. And that game was also a fun game, being able to play my old team. You know, one of my hidden coaches who's now a coach at Bradley. I ran into him a couple times, and he dabbed me up, and it was cool to see him. But like, you know, those just given my situation at Heartland made those two situations easier to play through, because I told myself, okay, if I could play through the BS that I went through at Heartland and still develop and have the mental toughness, then this ain't nothing. I'm on the other side now. You know what I'm saying? And I guess the fall just didn't go like what I expected. I expected I was going to go ball out in the fall. Everybody's going to know me. I was going to have a bunch of offers. No. And out of the fall, I ended up only having 2 offers. You know, and one of the offers I've had for a while. So it's just like everything kind of switched. And this is where right here, this part is when my whole life changed. My whole life changed. This is when I found God, which honestly, I found God a lot prior before. But like, it's a whole thing with trying to find your purpose. You know, ultimately, I've been like going through a lot of different stuff trying to find my purpose outside of baseball. Because when everybody thinks of me, they think of, okay, this kid works hard, he plays baseball. You know, nobody really knew like who I was outside of baseball. And so it was kind of hard for me to find myself outside of baseball. I tried different hobbies that try to make me happy and joyful outside of baseball, but then it became hard, you know, and you know, playing at in the fall didn't go the way I thought. Like it changed my whole mindset of things. It really did. And you know, of course I was still training at that time, grinding and stuff, but this is where it switched. One morning I was getting up to head to the facility in the morning, and my truck it started stalling when I was driving, and it wasn't like accelerating. Like there was something wrong with the engine or transmission. So I pulled over, we got it towed, and next thing you know, the transmission was blown or the transmission was broke. So now it's like, all right, I don't have a car. I'm trying to figure this stuff out because now I can't really train as much. It costs $3,500 to get a new transmission, you know, and unfortunately, with the situation that my parents had going on, they don't have necessarily the funds to kind of like fix that type of stuff. And me focusing heavily on baseball and being a college kid, I was broke. I was broke. You know, I didn't have money. Like, if anything, that truck was making me money because I did Instacart and DoorDash. So, like, when that truck was taken away, it kind of hit me differently on a whole new level. Because now it's like I had to flip-flop, staying with my dad and my mom. Staying with my dad, he always needed his truck sometimes. And on the weekends, when he was with his girlfriend or whatever, I had to stay home. I couldn't do anything. You know, with my mom, like, I had to stay home. And at the time, like, I didn't really have money. I wasn't making money. So it was really hard because I had to give my mom some money to put gas in the car. But if I had the money, then I'd just be burning her gas that she needed, you know? And so that was a real down point in my life because I spent a lot of time at home, you know? Because where I live at, I didn't have, like, my one friend that's where I live, he go to college somewhere else. He's not here. So I spent a lot of time at home, just figuring things out. You know, I spent a lot of time, and it was hard because I would train 3 times a day. I would work out. I couldn't work out at 4:30 in the morning anymore. You know, I couldn't train 4:30 in the morning anymore. I couldn't hit twice a day, 3 times a day. Only time I could hit is at practice. Only time I could work out is in the morning when we have team workouts, you know, and it got hard. It got really hard because like that's all I ever knew, and that was the only thing that was keeping me going, just working and working. And when God slowed me down and told me to chill out, it hurt because like then I just like not having a car, not being able to work out as hard as you was able to do. It took a toll on me, you know. I had a lot of nights where I would cry because I just felt like everything just wasn't going the right way. You know, I don't have a job. My parents is on me about a job. Then I don't got really schools necessarily I want to go to. I don't really have any traction with this baseball. I'm broke. Like everything just hit me. I got tickets I got to pay for, all that other type of stuff. You know, so it really hit me hard. You know, just spending all that time at home. And like I'm not somebody like I used to play the video game, so I didn't really have that. I got rid of it. I would just sit in my bed and look at the ceiling and I'd just be thinking. And everything crossed my mind. And I think at that time, it kind of, I felt hopeless. You know, because I didn't know what my identity was. I didn't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, am I even supposed to be playing baseball? What am I supposed to be doing in this life, in this world? You know, who am I outside of baseball? Who am I other than just that kid to work? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? So sitting at home really just kind of humbled me and made me just think just the reality of life, adulthood, and all that type of stuff. And I realized I couldn't go anywhere but to God. So in my heart, some of my hardest moments, I mean, like, I just sit in my room at 12, it's dark, lights off, just tearing up, crying, just like my situation just feels fucked, you know. And I would look to the side of me and I'll see the Bible and I would open it up and I would read it. And I would read this journal that my mom bought me that gives me different prayers. And I started praying more. Started praying every morning, every night. I started figuring out how to pray, you know, because when you pray about certain things, you know, you got to be more precise with it. And going throughout my life, I was able to realize I was never grateful for what I had. You know, my Honda Accord, before my freshman year of college, I wanted to get a Grand Cherokee. I told my mom, I need another car. This Honda Accord's a piece of shit. You'll have another car, Darian. But before college, it was my dad's truck. And guess what? That truck was a lot worse than the Honda. Because I had to pay hundreds of dollars for gas, hundreds of dollars for oil changes, hundreds of dollars to fix it. It was worse. And then I was complaining about the truck. Man, this truck's a piece of shit now, this and that. I'm down here at Heartland, man. This truck's terrible. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Now, God done took the truck out of my life. So now I have no transportation. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, I realized Heartland's situation wasn't as bad as I had thought and made it out to be, given where I'm at now. You know, it wasn't bad at all. And like I said, when I figured out how to pray to God and what to pray for Him for, it became a moment where I really felt close with Him. You know, I had a lot of different things going on in my life that I had ultimately overcome. Like I had an addiction. You know, I had an addiction to watching pornography. Like, and that's something that's ultimately harder for me to admit, but I'm easier to admit it now because I opened myself up with the Lord. You know, I let Him in my life. I surrendered to Him. And one day I went to church, you know, and usually the pastor asks people to repent. I want to say 2023, September, is when I gave myself to the Lord because everything was not going the right way. Everything was hard. I didn't know which way to go. You know, I didn't really think I really had a lot of people to really talk to about this. And so ultimately just, it was difficult. It was very difficult. And when I really was able to open up with the Lord, you know, it felt great. It felt good. I want to get a camera. I want to try to do this. And the whole time, like, I'm in a negative in my bank account. I didn't have no money. I don't know where I thought I was gonna get the amount of money to buy a camera. But I was like, I was going to see this camera every time, like, I was able to use my dad's or mom's car. I would go by Best Buy and just check out this specific camera. And, you know, one week I was like, I'm gonna get this camera at the end of this week. I don't know how, I don't know when, but it's gonna happen, you know. And I didn't have no money, so it came the time, and like I said, I luckily had a little bit of Pell Grant money of like $400 or something like that, and I was like, all right, this camera is $650. I had a cousin that worked at the Best Buy, and she was able to take a large amount of money off the camera, which bumped it down to five something. I was like, I usually don't like begging or asking my family for anything. So I happened to ask one of my uncles, like, hey, like, there's this camera. I'm trying to get into vlogging and stuff. You think you can help me out? And he helped me out with some money. And luckily, my mom was able to have a little bit of money to give me then, you know. And at that point, like, I hated to get money from my mom because I knew she didn't have money at the time, you know. I knew she didn't have money for that type of stuff. And ultimately, it was just like, okay, like I'm somebody who was notorious for buying things and returning it and not really using it as an asset. So she was like, all right, like, you buying this camera, like, you, like, all right, don't be trying to take it back, all this other stuff, you know. And I'm like, I got you. So at that time, I got the camera, you know, and I started vlogging with it. And, like, I started making different videos because I do TikTok and stuff like that. So I was making videos, like hidden videos and stuff to post on the TikTok because it kind of upped my game with recording, stuff like that. And I wouldn't have to use this phone and take all the storage out of my phone. So then I at that moment, it was like, wow. You know, because even then it was like, okay, as soon as I leave my dad's crib and as soon as I make a change in my life, good things start coming, you know. And it was when I got that camera, I recorded like some little video in my mom's car. And one of my friends was like, bro, you're actually pretty good with that. Like, he was like, dude, like, you can do something with this. And at the time I was like, oh, like, I was just using slow-mo, just doing different shots and stuff, like nothing crazy, you know what I'm saying? So it was just like, yeah, like this looks like a dope video, but like I didn't really do nothing, you know. And ultimately, I had was like doing my little vlogs or whatever, but I started trying to like get into photography and doing videos because like I just bought this camera, you know. I might as well try to shoot pictures and videos and stuff. You know, I might be good at it, who knows. So I did a little video for my mom, and it turned out pretty good. And that's when it was like, all right, like, your stuff's starting to get pretty, like, getting better every day. And like I was watching little videos, but it was kind of like you had to kind of like trial and error and do it on your own. So I was doing that, and people were starting to recognize it. So I was like, all right, let me make a page, you know, where I do like photos and stuff like that. And I didn't really have like much of a mentor or anything, you know. Like I said, I watched videos, but it was kind of like you just kind of had to just do it. And I used my friend for this first video, and it turned out really well. And it was like wow. And at the time, like, I have a MacBook, but my MacBook didn't hold enough storage for what I'm doing. So every video and every like thing that I've like edited and made has just been on my phone. So I would transfer the video stuff to my phone till I can get to another point in my life to have enough money to be able to get a different MacBook, get a software, all that type of stuff. So this camera started like bringing me different opportunities. Working with a famous photographer, a well-known photographer in St. Louis. You know, I started doing the workout videos and training videos, and people started messing with it. It was like, this is really good, you know. And the turnaround time that I was like making these videos was like, I would record them, and then I'd have it done like 2 hours later, like that. And that's when I realized I was like, I'm actually really good at this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could actually do something in this, man. And it's like, I didn't really put my foot into this type of stuff like that, and it's coming out like I've been doing this for a little minute. And so then I was just thinking like, man, God really brought this camera in my life for a reason. For a reason. And I've been going every time I pray, I ask for God to let me know what I should be doing in this world. Whether it's baseball, whether it's not baseball, like what way should I make? Like, give me sight to see what path I should take, or what path is clear and concise of what you have for me. And ultimately, he made that known. And so, at this time, like, he kind of put a little bit of smile on my face. And I think a week after I got it, I was supposed to shoot my friend's charger. And an hour before, I was taking like some self-portraits of myself, and my camera failed, and the lens like stopped working or something like that. Like, it was moving all around. So I was mad. I was getting nervous. I came in the house, was trying to clip it on and back on and off, and it still kept saying the same error. I called Sony. They was like, the lens broke. And like, at that moment, I was happy like for 2 or 3 weeks. Before that, like, I was just happier since I left my dad's, and I made the decision to not stay over there anymore. I became happier. And at that point, it was like, the devil is always working. God is working too, but the devil's always working. And I looked up and I smiled and I laughed, because I was like, he not finna win today, Lord. Like, he's not finna win today. I'm not gonna let this phase me. I'm not gonna let this worry about me. Maybe there's God telling me that I'm moving too fast with this. So I was like, I'm not gonna let that worry me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna let that like get on my nerves, because a lens that can be replaced. And so, whole time I'm over here, I put my camera up. I keep my camera just been sitting in my room 3 or 4 days straight. I'm looking for different lenses to try to find money to get another lens. People don't want to sell it as a part. They want to sell it as a set, bundle, etc., etc. So basically, I was supposed to take pictures for my cousin for his business page or something like that on Thanksgiving. And I was going to do a big video. And I never had told my cousin and him like that my camera lens had broke. But I did tell my boy that I couldn't shoot his charger because the lens broke. And ultimately, like, that Monday, Tuesday, I was running a lot of errands for my mom or whatever, and I haven't touched my camera since Friday, and that was probably like 4 days later. So then my bad. Then after I got done running the errands, my mom was about to leave. I basically was like, let me get this camera tried. I don't know what to expect. I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't know. So I was like, I grabbed my lens because it was like losing something. I like pushed it in aggressively, and like I heard something like click. So then I was like, all right, I'm gonna try this. Maybe it works. Boom, turned it on. It worked like new. When I tell you, I looked up, I got goosebumps. I was so happy. I was literally running around my house. I was like, God works in different ways. Whenever the devil tries to get you down, you don't let it get you down, because if he tries to get you down, it's gonna be for something that's little. It's gonna be for something that, like, it can be replaced. And God, seeing the way I battled through that test that was given to me, and he worked his way for me and fixed that camera. And that was just another scenario where God felt like very, very much real IRL in my life. And ever since then, like, my life was getting better from that point on. I bought the camera. I'm doing videos for my friends, all this type of stuff. And You know, at that time I wasn't really making money, but then I started getting a little bit of traction. People started to see the work I was doing and actually wanting like, okay, Darian can be good at this. Darian's good at this. I want him to do a video for me, this, and that. You know, and so basically what I'm just getting at is it's about finding your purpose. You know, and that's the big thing, because at this point, at a point this fall, I said I'm not like everything's just been out of my control. You know, I gotta put my effort into something else, because putting all my life, putting all my effort into baseball hasn't necessarily gotten me anywhere, but in a more depressed state about things. So ultimately, I took a kind of different approach. You know, I took a different approach. It was like, all right, I'm gonna put effort into this camera, this vlogging. And the crazy part is, when I got the camera, I wasn't even meant to be doing like videos and photography and stuff. I just got the camera because I want to vlog. But I tried new things and I was open to it, and I was like, dang, this is cool. You know, and every single time I've released a video, it's gotten better and better and better. And like, I spent a lot of time by myself, and especially with the camera, not a lot of people, like, I don't have a car, I can't go do the things I want to do. So I would kind of make little skits and stuff like that to kind of practice my film on. And I kind of figured out how to kind of color grade and stuff like that. And then I was like, dang, these shots are like looking nice. It looks like a straight movie. And I'm like, wow, like this is actually cool. You know what I'm saying? So like that kind of turned another head in me, because it was like, all right, I kind of found like my clique of what something else I'm good at other than baseball that I can, you know, be happy about. And as soon as I stopped putting so much effort into baseball and putting effort into other things in my life, baseball became a little bit less stressful. You know, like I said, because like ever since I lost that car, like I got my coaches and some kids on my team would drag me, oh, you don't work hard, you don't get up at 4:30 in the morning and do that anymore. But a lot of people don't know the situation. You know, it's out of my control. It really is. And ultimately, that camera like has opened up a new journey and a new path in my life that I didn't think that could be opened up or think that I can inherit. You know, and I even inspired like one of my boys to vlog just from that. You know, and he's vlogging and stuff, and his vlogs are awesome. You know what I'm saying? He's doing really well. And it's just, when God got something for you, you can't be so much caught up on your path. You got to go God's path with things, you know? Like, I've had coaches who've contacted me like, hey, like, what are you going to do with baseball? Like, have you made a decision? Like, I ain't thinking about baseball right now. I'm not thinking about where I'm going to go right now. I'm thinking about the present. I'm not worried about that, because all that going to be even out. All that's going to play out. God already got my life set up for me and what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just following it. I'm tired of making my decisions throughout my life purely off baseball, because that hasn't got me nowhere but in unhappy situations. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, just doing that and buying that camera has opened up a new part of me that I didn't think that I could open up. And you know, I've had this decision and it's hard, and while I've had this talk and it's hard to have this talk, and it's hard to say, you know, that like my dreams of playing pro baseball, my dreams of just, you know, doing what I want to do is not there, but it just ain't as strong. It ain't like my situation has lost me with the motivation with this sport, you know, because everybody's circumstance is different. It's hard when you don't got a car, you live 30 minutes away, 45 minutes away, you're broke, you got parents on you saying you need to work, you need to do this, it's a lot, you know. And I got to figure out where my next ride is to practice. I got to figure out, okay, who gonna be a real one and come drive out here and come pick me up? Because don't nobody got to do nothing. But that's also at the same time me saying, like, this game, no matter how hard you work, it don't owe you back. But the one thing that I thought too at a young age was, why? Like, what's your why? You know, I had this conversation with my friend Devon yesterday. Like, okay, so why? And I was like, my why for baseball wasn't to play professional baseball and just be still playing baseball. Baseball was the only thing that I knew and the only thing that I felt like I was good at. So I was like, if I could go play professional baseball, make a lot of money from it, and do something I'm good at, I'll be happy. But that's the key thing right there. Finding something you're good at and making the money. You can still find something that you're good at and live the type of lifestyle that you want to live. You know, because I know me personally, I want to live a certain type of lifestyle. I don't want to necessarily be working all my life and to just take one vacation every two. You know, I want every day to be a journey. I want to be able to afford the things that I wasn't able to afford before. You know, and ultimately, like, just not having a car made me also think just the whole concept of school and just how now in this day and age, like, you can be that 1% if you go about the right way to do it, you know, and everything just kind of changed the way I perceive life and the way I perceive things now. And ultimately, you know, it's not a bad thing, but also just like that spark just with the game, I realized like I found another passion that I can take off with that may get me to the type of life that I want to live, you know. And at the end of the day, I just don't want to be down a direction where I'm not living life to the fullest. I'm not happy, because God can give you two different paths. Only one's gonna make you happy, and right now there's one that I know for sure has not really made me happy lately, because I haven't been happy playing baseball since my senior year of high school. You know, so ultimately, like, it was just a lot of decisions that you gotta make. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's just all with the circumstance. You know, I feel like I left. If anything, if it were to happen, I don't know what to expect in 2024. If it were to happen though, like, I could easily say my friend say, "Do you think that you gave it all you got?" I feel, man, at Heartland, bro, training as much as I trained, everything I done, I feel like, yeah, I gave that all that I could have done. I went through extreme measures to try to be the best damn player that I could possibly be, especially in that situation, you know. And ultimately, it just boiled down to just a factor of just my circumstance and what may be for me and what not may be for me, you know, because God knows what's for you. And when you leave it all and give it all to the hands of God, it leaves stress on you trying to figure out what's for you, what's not, because it's not what's for you to figure out. It's God already planning it. You just going with His path, you know. And basically, I feel like throughout my life, it's taught me a lot, you know, especially in 2023. I left a big impact, you know, especially like when I trained at EBA and all that stuff, and like I was inspiring a lot of kids, even kids who ultimately went Division I out of high school, you know. And I was inspiring them, you know, because I worked hard, but understanding that sometimes, bro, you can give so much to this game, bro, and it don't give you nothing back. I couldn't stress that enough. It may not give you anything back. So ultimately, man, you know, you just got to go with what God has for you, you know. And I don't know necessarily what He has for me, but I know that, like, you know, in 2024, will I play baseball? I don't know. Will I play my spring season? I don't know. I don't know any of that, you know. It all just depends, because, like, at the point now, it's like, man, like, I don't even know if that's what God has for me. You know, I feel like if it were to be taken out of my life, you know, I've inspired a lot of kids. I've inspired a lot of kids who will still come hit me up about hitting things or baseball stuff and stuff like that. Of course, I still be in the game, try to be in the game some way, shape, or form or whatever, or attempt to. But, like, you know, I did what I could, and I think I left a good blueprint on a bunch of kids to just work hard in general. Like, whatever you want, work hard for it. You want to work so hard for it to a point that God takes it out your life. God puts a certain circumstance, because ultimately you can have a kid who can work just the same amount of, have the same work ethic as me and get way farther. But that's because that's what God may have had for him. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, it's just understanding that you got to do what God has for you. You know, and it gets hard. You know, everything, all of that gets hard. You know, and when you become closer with God and you build that relationship with God, it's a beautiful and it's a wonderful thing to do. It really is. And like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to expect. 2023 was for sure a ride. I learned a lot. You know, I didn't think this is how my 2023 would have went. I didn't think that I was gonna end up leaving there. I didn't think that I was going to enter the fall and exit the fall with really not really any offers or ones that really was finding me. Like, I didn't think all this is going to happen, but it's all part of God's plan. You just got to go with the flow with things. And ultimately, me finding a passion with doing this film and stuff like that and making content, I might, like, who knows, next year I might just go to school, go to a film school, or go out to Cali, go to school, or go to Texas or Arizona or something like that, or go to Atlanta. Who knows? But I think next year for me is a season of risking and making a change and changing a lot of things in my life, and not letting a sport or letting something determine how I go about with life. Because at the end of the day, you got to live life, And like I said, if I didn't lose that car, I wouldn't have bought the camera. I wouldn't have found the passion, the audacity to buy the camera. I wouldn't have been getting into photography or film and stuff like that. So God has things in place in your life for a reason. And the one thing I did learn too is just ultimately be grateful for where you're at. I always make sure I pray for where I'm at, even though some of this situation is very, very difficult, very, very stressful, very, very hard. I still pray for where I'm at because it's a lot of people in way worse situations. And if we all threw up our stresses and problems in the air, you'd probably grab yours back. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot to really think about, I just thought, my friend kind of gave me the idea to just sit down and kind of talk about this from this standpoint, and just who knows what's to expect. Who knows what's to happen. I don't know what's going to happen next year, but I'm at the point where, like, I'm comfortable and I'm okay with what's going to happen because I know God has something better for me and God has something else for me that's waiting that I just got to be able to go at, take a risk. That's about taking risks. Like, if you want the type of living, the type of lifestyle and stuff I want to live, you got to take risks. You got to do what you got to do. So, like I said, I developed a lot spiritually this year. I developed the mental toughness, and you best believe the work ethic is still there for something I want to do. That's why, as you guys can see, you guys probably go through my Instagram page and see a lot of film stuff like, okay, he doesn't really post a lot of baseball, like him hitting and stuff like is he still playing, stuff like that. And yeah, I'm still in the game. Technically, I'm still in the team, still playing, but it's a lot of stuff I've been thinking about, and it's a lot of decisions that will be made next year. I don't know whether it's bringing baseball with me or not, I don't know. So, like I said, I just wanted to come with you guys today and just kind of just talk about the wrap-up of all of 2023, my thoughts on it, how my mindset has changed, and kind of just what to expect for 2024, because, like I said, I want to be able to do a lot of different things next year, and ultimately it's all going to be decided on the risk of what people don't think that you would do and what people may not be agree with, but it's just you following what you feel God's purpose is for you. And that's what it's about, all that work that I've ever put in, if it comes down that it ends, like, no, that all that work that I put in wasn't for nothing. All that work was to teach me to work so fucking hard for what you want. So when it comes something that God has for you that you're supposed to be doing that he has that you're supposed to be doing, and you work hard at it, you're going to get the outcome that you want.